Hey guys, welcome to another video. This video is going to be a slightly longer video. That's mainly because you all guys have been asking me questions about new motorcycles that have been launched, mainly the RC200 and the RC125 and the new upcoming Pulsar 250F. Now, I don't know if they are going to add the F behind the 250, but let's wait and watch. 28th of October 2021 is not far away. Many people are waiting for the new Pulsar. So, and very few things are known about it. So, let's get into this video. So, let's start off with the new RCs, the RC200 and the RC125. Mainly the RC200. The RC200, it's got a bigger airbox now. It's got a bigger front disc. It's up to 320 mm versus 300 mm on the old RCs. That should improve stopping power, and the airbox should improve acceleration times. And you've got a split trellis frame, which obviously has been on the new Dukes for a while. Other than that, you've got a new handlebar, which is supposed to make it less uncomfortable to ride. Even the seats are supposed to be less uncomfortable. You've got a larger tank, 13.7 liters versus 11 liters on the previous RC. So the previous RC was really low on range because of that. But they have made improvements throughout the motorcycle, but unfortunately what I don't like about a general improvement thing is that the RC was always known as one of those bikes which is uncomfortable to ride, but it's very track focused. It is still track focused, but now they've made it easier to ride. So for a typical junkie who likes that, I think you've taken some experience out of it. But nevertheless, it is still not going to be as comfortable as something as the RS. You can say that it is still a very committed motorcycle, but they have tried to make it a little easier. But yes, they have made good mechanical improvements throughout. But that just means, like right now, the RC200 is priced as the same as the old RC, the outgoing model. But I don't think that price will remain stagnant for a long time. I think the price will go up. As for the RC125, I don't know why someone would buy that motorcycle, because ex-showroom, the RC125 cost 1,82,000 ex-showroom, which was the on-road price of my RS200. And my RS200 would run circles around that 125cc motorcycle. And I don't know why someone would buy a 125cc, especially even if the argument is equipment. I mean, if you're getting better equipment on the RCs now, upside down forks, what happened, whatever you say, still, what use is upside down forks when the bike won't cross 120 very easily? So I don't think the RC125 is a worthwhile machine. But still, I mean, if you look at the numbers that KTM is selling in India, the 125s, the Duke 125 and the RC125 did pretty well. So can't argue with the sales numbers, but still, I mean, I don't see the logic of buying a 125cc KTM in India. The thing is, if you buy a RC125, I am like, what were you thinking? You had approximately 2,10,000 and you decided to buy a RC125. I mean, you have the R15M now, which would be approximately the same price. The on-road price of the RC, I think, would be about 2,10,000, and I think of the R15 is also 2,10,000, and the R15 would run circles around that RC at this point. And even then, if you think about, if you want more performance, I mean, the RS is sitting at 1,80,000. Why would you spend 30,000 more and buy a KTM 125? Just, I mean, I know the reason why people do it, but metrics, numbers, yeah. So I don't think the RC125, I wouldn't buy the RC125, and I know a lot of my friends who are enthusiasts, they don't like the RC125 for the exact same reason, is because it's hugely underpowered. It doesn't offer anything for that price, but still it's selling. I don't know why it's selling, but I know the reason actually why it's selling. But yeah, that's the RCs for you. Now coming to the Pulsar 250F, it's a brand new Pulsar ever since the 200NS. I'm not going to count the RS because the RS and the 200NS share a lot of components, and basically they are, it's one is a naked version and one is a faired version. So I'm going to count the 200NS as the last Pulsar. and that came in 2012, the last big Pulsar. So it's 8-9 years in the making, and I have to get some things out of the way because these things were discussed with my group of riders, and they were like, why would they make a 250 if it's going to be oiled and air cooled? The main reason that Bajaj is doing this is because they want a motorcycle to compete with the FZ25. They are not competing with the Dominar 250. They're not competing with the Huskies. They're not competing with the KTM Duke 250. They're not competing with the Adventure 250. These are slightly higher in price because even the Dominar right now is 1,90,000 and the KTMs are going up to 2,80,000 for a 250cc. So this is going to be under 1,80,000 on road. So you can see that they are trying to undercut a lot of 250s, but they obviously they don't want to push, because if you put a KTM engine into that, the price will go up. They did that on the 250, the Dominar 250, and you can see that the price is pretty high. So they want a lower model which can compete with the FZ25. You have the Suzuki Gixxer 25. So these 250s, and it can take over the mantle from the 220 in some way or another. Definitely the 250 will be more powerful and faster even than the 220, and it might be more fuel efficient as well, considering that it's a brand new engine. It will be more fuel efficient. It will take a lot of inspiration from the new generation Pulsars that were there, that is the NS and the RS, maybe the frame and the monoshock and all of that, and they will put it into a flavor of the 220, the torquey engine. And the reason I say that the 220F has a flavor is because till date, even after you have something like the RS200, you have the RC200, you have the Duke 250s, you have the Yamaha R15. I don't know why, but the 220 still sells. I have no idea why, but Bajaj is making the 220 even today after so many years, and it is still selling. It is not one of those bikes that is not selling. You see so many 220s on the road, and if you look at the sales figures of the 220, it says a lot, because people actually like that torquey motor. And if you've ever ridden a 220, you notice there's a sense of torque very low down, not like the RS or the RCs or the Dukes. The Dukes they are torquey, but they're torquey like throughout. But the 220 was very jumpy, very unpredictable, and I think a lot of people like that, so more power to them. But that's what it's going to be. Other than that, the Pulsar 250 is going to have LED headlights, LED tail lights, probably a perimeter frame. A big speculation at this point, I don't know, we'll find out in a few days, is VVA. Because Bajaj did file patents for VVA technology a few months ago, but I'm not really sure if they're going to use that technology on the 250 or they're saving it for another motorcycle in the future. And this is not the type of VVA that we see on the Yamaha R15. It is slightly more mechanical, it is slightly simpler to understand. So I don't know if it's going to make its way to the 250, but if it does, it's going to mean that the 250 is very flexible. It's going to be very rideable in multiple conditions, unlike the RS and the NS, which are very difficult to ride in city situations. Difficult is a strong word, but definitely more difficult than something like a Dominar. Yeah, the Pulsar 250 is going to be semi-fed. They're trying to take the legacy of the 220, as I said before. So it's going to be semi-fed. And a lot of inspiration has been taken from the AS200. If you look at the fairing in the front, it's a reincarnated version of the AS200. And the AS200 looked good, but it did not have enough performance to differentiate itself as an adventure tourer, considering that the RS was there at that time and the NS was also being sold alongside. So there was a lot of cannibalization happening there. So what I want to do is I want to run down how Bajaj is going to place this and how Bajaj and KTM are playing this game. Actually, Bajaj, KTM and Husqvarna. So at the top end, the highest end, you're going to have the KTM 250 Adventure. Below that, you're going to have the Duke 250 and the Huskies, both the Huskies, the Swart Pillion and the Wet Pillion. Yeah. Below that, you're going to have the Dominar 250. and right underneath that you're going to have the Pulsar 250. That's going to be the lineup. So the highest price to the lowest price, that's what I gave you. I think this engine that they use in the 250 is going to make its way lower. So you might see a 180, you might see a 150 based on the same engine that Bajaj has right now for the 250. Everything will be revealed on the 28th of October 2021. Another thing I forgot to mention when I was mentioning the lineup of the 250s that we're going to have soon. A very important point is that Bajaj doesn't need to make a 250cc motorcycle to compete with the Dukes, to compete with the Dominar, to compete with the Huskies. Bajaj is selling KTMs in India. I mean, for every KTM that is sold, they are making profits. So they don't need that. They're playing the long game here. I mean, if they had to make a competing motorcycle, don't you think they already have the engine technology, they already have the frame, they have all the equipment, they know how to make it. They can put a motorcycle out there, but they don't want to reduce sale of KTM in India. If anything, they want to increase the sale of KTM so that they get more profits. And yeah, it's a very important point. So another reason why Bajaj did not use a KTM motor in the new Pulsar, it's and this is speculation, I can be wrong about it, but if you look at both the companies, that is KTM and Bajaj, at a purely corporate level, Bajaj swapped its stake. It had 48% stake in KTM, so it gave that stake to another company, the parent company of KTM, and it took stake in another company which is also associated with KTM. So they're not totally out of the KTM game, but they have done this swapping and stuff on a very corporate level. So what I think, and I can be wrong about this, I think that they're trying to move away from the KTM platform in some way or another, because they got the technology now. I mean, they have the RS and the NS as demonstrators, even the Dominar engines as demonstrators that they have the technology. But if they are moving away from the KTM motors, it's surprising, but at the same time I understand the gamble, because they at some point they did this with Kawasaki many years ago. So and you can see that the Kawasaki engine lived with Bajaj for a very long time, and where Kawasaki is today. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's purely speculation, but let's see where it goes. So that's all for this video. I will see you all in the next one, and like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. Ride safe, ride hard, and any more questions you can put down in the comments. See you all in the next one.